The SCP universe is vast and varied indeed, with plenty of tales of terror to keep you up night after night. It's an absolute blast to scroll through the seemingly endless catalogs of creepy creatures and unexplainable phenomena. However, there is a whole world beyond the entries themselves. In each report you can find references to test subjects, doctors, researchers, and other assorted supporting characters. Often they are used to set up scary scenarios, or as a sort of scientific human crash dummy. But some recurring Foundation members have more to offer than a fleshy body to be torn asunder. In fact, many of them have terrifying backstories and ever-developing canons to explore. Anyone associated with the Foundation has to be a psycho in some regard, otherwise why would they be there? Can't have a bunch of neurotypical normies classifying and containing these anomalies. I doubt any sound-minded person would be willing to sacrifice all of those Class D test subjects. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're taking a look at the top 5 scariest SCP Foundation members. Before we get started, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more SCP stories. Roll the clip.
The lambs have passed through the gate. They are come to the killing floor.
Well, you're doing a great job out there. By the numbers, man, you gotta start it off just right. So we'll talk to you later, okay?
We keep coming back to the cabin in the woods because it seems like the perfect example of an SCP movie. Agents Sitterson and Hadley seem like just the kind of guys who would make it big at the Foundation. And the Harbinger is exactly the type of maniac who would make a good field agent or test subject. Now that we've done the requisite cabin in the woods reference, let's get going. Starting us off at number 5, we've got Dr. Glassman. This researcher is quite odd, and I swear I know her from somewhere. Unfortunately, Glassman was killed in action following a redacted containment breach. While following up on some post-mortem paperwork, agents tasked with consolidating her record found something very strange. And by found something, I mean couldn't find anything. There was no history of a Dr. Glassman anywhere on the records. Nothing confirming or detailing her employment with the Foundation, and no recruiters able to confirm when and how she was brought into their employ. It was kinda like she was a collective hallucination, which would be cool if the Foundation wasn't always so close to catastrophe. There's a popular theory among Foundation research staff that fits in pretty well with the SCP canon at large. They say that she was an anomalous cognito paradox. So yeah, a collective hallucination where everyone remembers interacting with her, but they have no proof of it. Somewhere along the lines of a paranormal Mandela effect. You know, Berenstain or Berenstain. Glassman or Glassman. Information about this cognito paradox was declassified and things returned to normal at the Foundation. And that is until Glassman returned to work. So now she's under 24-hour surveillance and Foundation members are urged not to speak with her and not to make physical contact with her. At one point, all records of Glassman were expunged in an attempt to remove her existence, but these attempts failed. So if you do see a certain Dr. Glassman or Glassman, make sure you don't engage with her. Don't acknowledge her presence, and for goodness sakes, do not attempt to locate her. Coming in at number 4, we've got guest researcher Dr. W. This one makes me feel pretty icky inside, and more icky than normal SCP stories. It has to do with SCP-682 and the experiments performed on it. You know 682, right? The weird reptile thing who hates all life? Constantly consuming matter with crazy regenerative abilities? Yeah, that one. So they did some tests on it to try to figure out whether or not it could actually be killed. Most of these trials involved use of other SCPs and were supervised by trusted Foundation researchers. At one point, someone tried to drop it from an airplane cruising at high altitudes. That didn't work. Dr. Clef even walked into the containment area himself just to see what would happen. However, at some point, a guest researcher by the name of Dr. W was allowed to perform some experiments. This was not a good call. The first thing Dr. W did was put an ordinary human child in the container. Guess what happened next? The child screamed, cried, and was messily devoured. Now, after one test like that, a reasonable researcher would think, maybe don't put the human child in with the terrifying hatred lizard. But no. This researcher decided to push it further. In their notes, they stated that the child's crying made 682 perceive hostile intent. So during their next trial, they heavily drugged a child and put it in the container. This child giggled and smiled and was messily devoured. Great work, team. In the notes for this trial, Dr. W wrote that they believed that if they tried it again, eventually a child would make friends with 682. Thankfully, before this theory could be tested, Dr. Clef decided to use Dr. W as a test subject. Dr. W screamed and panicked and was messily devoured. Pretty conclusive results, don't you think? Coming in at number 3, we have Dr. Clef. As you might have noticed in the previous number, this researcher is a madman maverick. He plays by his own weird, really annoying rules. But the Foundation wouldn't just keep him around for comic relief, would they? This enigmatic doctor claims that his true name is that of an A major chord played on a ukulele, and thus the musical name was born. His face cannot be clearly photographed, but people say that he has 3 different colored eyes and a Cheshire cat grin. An inveterate liar, Clef cannot be trusted about anything except for SCP-related issues. He's also been described as having a slimy personality that causes all females within reasonable distance to instinctively recoil in horror. He's written some very graphic research papers considering the function of certain human reproductive organs and fluids, which might have something to do with this reputation of general disgust. Even though everything I've said before this seems to paint Clef as an idiot and a pervert, he is actually a very effective Foundation member. He is able to swiftly and elegantly terminate dangerous SCPs and has been involved in a number of high-profile SCP cases. Thanks to these talents, he was promoted to the head of the Department of Training and Development at the Foundation. So now he's in charge of training response teams and field agents. If you know anything about these teams, you know how deadly and effective they can be. There is a whole lot to learn from this strange doctor if you can handle being in the same room as him for more than 5 minutes. Slotting in at number 2, we have the researchers at Site-779. So I'm going to group all these guys into the same category due to the circumstances surrounding their deployment. Led by Dr. Kells, an expert in cognitohazards, these researchers were sent to investigate SCP-3799. This SCP is a 6-meter snow sphere floating above an island in Greenland. No attempts to harm or destroy the airborne snowball were successful, so the Foundation worked to understand it. There have been 5 iterations of the case file found, but none of them are anywhere in the Foundation's database. All of these documents were either found in the research lab or in the hands of an unidentified Foundation member located inside of the floating frozen globe. Dr. Kells and all of the researchers on the island fell under the influence of 3799 through means of anomalous snowfall. So this sphere produces snowflakes constantly, and the island is always totally covered in a beefy layer of snow. The flakes are molecularly identical to regular snow, but have anomalous qualities that make them very dangerous. Those who observe the snow over time always develop an obsessive interest in it, and associate it with feelings of joy, contentment, and enlightenment. When the snow makes contact with human skin, the subject will feel compelled to totally immerse themselves in it. Once they succumb to hypothermia and die, the snow has a corrosive effect on their corpse and will actually turn their flesh into snow. Dr. Kells fell under the influence of the snow and compelled people to walk out and be subsumed. In his report, he wrote that winter and snow are pure, unlike humans who are made of flesh and mire. Heading into this snow is likened to achieving nirvana and should be done as soon as possible. All of the researchers on the island eventually subscribed to this idea and gave themselves in to the pure crystalline powder. If Kells' glowing report of the deadly snow substance made it to the public, who knows how many would be lost to the blizzard. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Adam Bright. This member's story is both scary and tragic. The Brights are a well-known family, well connected to the Foundation at large. Adam is the patriarch and has what is assumed to be 5 children involved in the world of SCPs. 4 have been mentioned in different reports and case files as researchers, agents, or operatives, and the last one is the catalyst for Adam's tragic story. One of the Bright babies was stillborn, causing great distress to Father Bright. He wanted more than anything to bring his baby back to life. Adam did everything he could to achieve this goal, including using SCPs with healing properties. This led him to use SCP-590, a teenage boy with the mental capacity of a 3-year-old who can heal injuries on anyone he touches. This worked and brought the baby back to life. However, it was immediately taken taken into Foundation custody for examination and later given SCP designation, SCP-321. This child ages at a decelerated rate and has the ability to recuperate after injury 5 times faster than a normal human. Its physical growth has showed no signs of stopping either. It's theorized that this could be a result of being brought back to life while a large number of stem cells still existed in the child's body. It actually reached a point in its growth that its heart could no longer circulate blood effectively, causing the Foundation to outfit it with braces to prevent further growth and support the already weak bones and muscles. 321 has a low degree of intellect and cannot learn complex skills or speech. Over and over, Adam tried to regain custody of this reborn child, and every time the Foundation denied his request. Every time Adam rose in rank, he put in a new request, but to no avail. Eventually, the Foundation retired Adam for never giving up on his quest to bring his daughter home. After trying so hard to save his child, the method of resurrection kept it just outside of his grasp. The Foundation is ruthless. Holy moly, that's a lot of scary and sad stuff on one list. Humans are pretty good at causing a lot of both, eh? Tragedy and terror, mankind's constant companions. What'd you think? Did you know about any of these Foundation members already? Are there any more that you hope to learn about? Let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's see what you guys had to say last time. Richard Clark says, yeah, I think the Blair Witch is completely fictional. I think the name was a reference to the Bella Witch, but that was a completely different story. And you are absolutely right. The creators of the Blair Witch Project had a whole alternative reality game going on leading up to the release, which is super cool. Joseph Whitaker asks, where is Lucy on this list of witches? This is a list of movie witches, so until somebody pens a feature script about Lucy's exploits, she'll just have to remain unlisted. Abducted by Horror Reviews says, the witches from The Witch better be on this list or it doesn't matter. Updated, you have my respect. I'm glad I could make this list matter. Much respect to you too. Lisa Rowe says, snitches on witches get far worse than stitches. Lisa's got some bars. What's your SoundCloud? I want to hear your Wiccan mixtape. Cassandra Regatas asks, Keegan, was the knot on your sweater strings on purpose? Keep up the good work. Good eye. Yep, that's just something I've done forever. I don't know why, I do it because I like it. Thank you for the kind words. That's all she wrote. I'll put an end to this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Didn't write an outro again. Cool. They say that... An expert in... Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You get it, right?